All right, friends, right now I'm at Southlands Mall. This place is absolutely massive, and I think that's fitting because today's video is massive. Today's video, we're talking best neighborhoods in Aurora. Think of this as like a supersized virtual tour. We're going through so many neighborhoods. We're gonna talk a little bit about them, and then, golly, it's windy. And then we're gonna show you, footage of what the neighborhood feels like. So let's dive into it. This video is already gonna be long enough. Best neighborhoods in Aurora, Colorado, go. How's it going, my friends? My name is Jesse Lynch, and I work with the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called Welcome to Denver, and you can check out our website, welcometodenver.co. But this YouTube channel is all about helping you find a place to call home, a place to land here in beautiful Denver, Colorado. Today, specifically Aurora, Colorado, and that's whether you're buying a house for the first time or relocating here from a different city, state, country, planet, universe, whatever. First-time home buyers and relocations, that's what we do, and that's what we do better than anybody else. So if either of those two things appeal to you, then do us both a favor, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified so you can see every time we put out these videos. And if you wouldn't mind, give this video a thumbs up and say what's up in the comments. People are staring at me right now, so I would really appreciate the thumbs up. And as always, if you are thinking about moving here or want to buy a house here, get a hold of us. We'll crush it for you. Nobody will work harder for you than we will. You can go to our website, welcometodenver.co. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in 30 seconds, or you can shoot us an email directly to info@welcometodenver.co. I'm still at Southlands Mall. This place is absolutely massive. I'm gonna sort of almost include this as a B-roll section, as almost its own neighborhood, because it's so big, there's so much stuff here, and yeah, it seems worthy of its own section. So roll that beautiful bean footage. Next up on best neighborhoods in Aurora, Colorado. This one actually is one of my favorite, like, newer communities, like new build-ish. It's not everything's brand new anymore, but it's a very recent community. And this is one of my favorite communities, like, in all of Colorado. Mostly because Aurora Reservoir is right there, and some of these houses have real, like, stupid views of the Aurora Reservoir. And I love a good water view, big fan. If you're living here, you are super close to the Aurora Reservoir Park. You're very, very slick access to Southlands Mall. And, here, this is obviously not the reservoir, but it is a sort of waterfront. And this community is so beautiful. They have this sort of cascading, like, water feature over here. I'll show you. And the homes are beautiful. I bet 3,000 is probably small here. 3,000 square feet. Got this great sort of cascaded water feature. And South Shore in general, you'll check out the B-roll, obviously. Beautiful. And cheapest home here, really probably in the low or the mid 7s is probably list price, which means it'll probably sell probably somewhere close to 8. So not necessarily like a cheap barrier for entry, but these houses are amazing, and I would say by all accounts this is more of like a high-end luxury neighborhood. There's the South Shore Lake House, which is just up here, which is like a community, community room kind of place where obviously awesome views of Aurora Reservoir, and it's just so nice. There's these trails go all throughout here. There's literally a Starbucks like right up in there. Very cool. Hi friends, right now I'm at Beacon Point Neighborhood Park, and that is because the next neighborhood on the list is going to be Beacon Point. And Beacon Point is basically just to the north of South Shore where we were earlier. Very, very similar qualities, and you can see right over here, kind of back in the background here, is the Aurora Reservoir. So again, these homes in Beacon Point, much like those of South Shore, have potential. Some of them have just tremendous views of the reservoir, and it's just idyllic, right? You have sort of community park spaces. I think there's at least 2 within Beacon Point. You can, it's a pretty short drive, and I would say overall lifestyle between the two is going to be almost identical. Just off to the west of Beacon Point is going to be Talons Reach, which is going to be another one of the neighborhoods we talk about. A beautiful neighborhood indeed, and basically all of these spots are about as close as you can get to the Southlands shopping mall, the Southlands Center. And all 3 of those spots, South Shore, Beacon Point, Talons Reach, are basically just off to the sort of east and southeast of the Southlands Mall, which again is a great mall. So many amenities, and really a lot of the folks who live elsewhere in Aurora are going to be using that. It's going to be like one of their, big sort of suburban amenities, but it's really nice to be this close to it and this close to the reservoir. The housing stock here is going to be similar sort of characteristics, similar prices to that of South Shore. It's very similar lifestyle overall. Rockin' schools, close to Southlands. I mean, hard to go wrong. Friends, right now I am at Talons Reach Recreational Center. You may have heard of Talons Reach before. Comes up on some lists of great neighborhoods in Aurora, and it is quite beautiful indeed. Again, recreation center. There's a pool, there's sort of a clubhouse situation, there's sort of walking trails and stuff. Why is it always windy when I shoot? I guess that's just the nature of Colorado. But you can see all the way down here, there's just walking trails, and these trails go all the way throughout the Talons Reach neighborhood. And you can see also that I'm sort of perched, and there's views of the Rocky Mountains, and some of Talons Reach is situated nice and high up with awesome, like, kind of just panoramic views. I can see so far from here, and that is sweet. Not every house in Talons Reach is going to have that awesome view, but you do have access to these great views just from walking around. But you do have access to these views within your neighborhood, at the clubhouse, etc. Again, like South Shore and Beacon Point, you are super close to Southlands Mall, which is again very, very, very convenient. You have high quality schools here, good access to the Aurora Reservoir, and just a peaceful neighborhood, idyllic feel. Check out the B-roll for some vibes. Very nice spot. and yet another fantastic neighborhood in Aurora. This one is actually as far southeast as one can possibly get while still being in Aurora. Basically, any further south and you're hitting Parker. And this is the Blackstone community. It's a country club. You can see back here, there is one of the holes, and it's sort of like all littered throughout the community is the whole golf course. It's very beautiful and some pretty incredible views. And with how the golf course is basically, you know, strewn throughout the community, everything feels nice and far apart. You'll see, you know, between basically the backyards of these homes is just the particular hole of this golf course, and which really provides a lot of sort of division in the neighborhood, right? Where you just have a good amount of sort of shoulder space, and there's walking trails, and there's sort of the boulevards all around. Not every street here has it, but most of them do. It's just really nice, obviously meticulously maintained, as you might expect from a country club neighborhood, but absolutely Blackstone, definitely worth considering. You could spend, you know, basically I would expect to spend maybe low to mid 800s up to 1.5 million in this neighborhood, but you get a lot of house, you get access to the country club, and just super nice. And you're still only 7 minutes to Southlands Mall and a ton of sort of amenities nearby. I think there's a Target like 4 minutes from here. Very sweet. All right, let's hop over to another one. All right, friends, right now I'm in Saddle Rock Marketplace, and that's because the next neighborhood that we're gonna sort of talk about as being one of the best neighborhoods in Aurora is Saddle Rock. And there's Saddle Rock Ridge and Saddle Rock Golf Course. I'm gonna clump them both together. One is obviously sort of golf course neighborhood. One is more just standard neighborhood. It's a little bit elevated, has some very cool sort of topography, some excellent views, but also Saddle Rock has some really great amenities in it, very accessible. There's here Saddle Rock Marketplace, but then there's also Saddle Rock Shopping Center, which is right across the highway from Southlands. So you're super close to Southlands. You have access to a Super Target, which is actually a great Super Target. I don't know if y'all out there are fans of Target. Definitely am. Love a good Super Target, and it's a good one. And then there's a Starbucks here as well, like Joann's, and a bunch of other different like little amenities. And this is just kind of a smaller spot tucked in. You have maybe 3 or so commercial spaces within Saddle Rock, Sprouts, and then Southlands as well. So it's really got it all as far as the suburban amenities go. So it's really got it all as far as the suburban amenities goes. Also an urgent care right here, just in case. And that's why it definitely makes the list for best neighborhoods. And homes start somewhere in the like mid 6s within this community. And they're very nice homes, new homes, like a lot of what you're seeing in that southeast Aurora in general. All right, next up on the best neighborhoods in Aurora. This is kind of a twofer because they're right next to each other.
and we're gonna kind of show them together. You have Tollgate Crossing, which I almost always say Colgate. That's Colgate, kid, I don't know about you. And then just over here is Sorrel Ranch, and Sorrel Ranch is newer than Tollgate Crossing. I almost said Colgate again. And Tollgate Crossing is to the north of Sorrel Ranch. So Sorrel, I keep Sorrel. Sorrel Ranch is a considerably newer development. It's really, really nice, and generally everything in there is going to be 10, 15 years newer than everything in Tollgate Crossing. But Tollgate Crossing is really early 2000s, so think 2000 to maybe 2008 homes in here were built. Very sizable, good sized yards for the most part, a lot of fenced yards, and homes in this neighborhood start around the mid 500s. And again, we're very close to Southlands and a lot of those conveniences, but I don't know if you can see, but just over here, just on the other side of Tollgate Crossing, it pretty much, it's all just open land and very much feels like path of progress, right? It's all kind of moving south, it's all kind of moving east, but absolutely, worth considering. Tollgate Crossing, a little cheaper, little older, little more accessible, and then Sorrel Ranch, newer, bigger, more expensive, right? Probably starting closer to like the mid 7s in Sorrel Ranch, but very good options. Check them out. My friends, right now I'm at Utah Park. It's actually a pretty sweet park. There's baseball diamonds, playground, obviously beautiful water feature, sort of pavilions, and just like a great place to take your dog for a walk, take your kids, etc. Very nice. And Utah Park is one of the most western spots we're talking about, but probably the furthest northwest of any of the places we're talking about. And Utah Park has some notable affordability, listings starting in the low 4s. And the homes here are going to be a little bit older, maybe more 80s, 90s kind of a situation, but a lot of them very nicely maintained. And 80s, 90s is just old enough to where some of the homes are actually like completely renovated. There's actually a very nice listing on the market right now that, while it's a more, more from the time of when I was growing up, they were new builds, and now, now it's this fully renovated, very interesting, sort of design, and, it's kind of cool to see that. And Utah Park has access to Cherry Creek schools, right? Not necessarily by default, but you are really close to it. There's actually a Cherry Creek schools building right there. It's the Institute of Science and Technology. This is just kind of this weird spot up here. Naturally, a little bit of graffiti. Why wouldn't there be, And with the spot being a little more northwestern, it means you're closer to Denver proper. So if you have to make that commute, a lot easier than some of the ones in Southeast Aurora. But more and more, the world's changing to where people don't need, but obviously the world's changing. People are commuting a little bit less. But if that is something that you have to do, maybe you have one of those jobs where you just can't, work from home, I feel you, we gotta be out here, then this could be a good spot, especially when you combine it with that affordability and, generally well-maintained homes and, a modern enough lifestyle without, brand new style homes and without sort of being a little further out on the edge, right? If you sort of compare prices where you have Traditions neighborhood, which is way out there, but way newer, versus being considerably closer to Denver, you know, and just kind of more in the things, and just sort of more mixed into civilization, if you will, then, you know, that's something to weigh. There's definitely some nice options here, and if that commute time is important, then I think you can have a nice lifestyle for what is quite affordable for the Denver area. All right, friends, right now I'm in another neighborhood that I think definitely makes the list of top neighborhoods in Aurora. It is called Copperleaf, and it is a very large development, and you might notice that what I'm walking by right now is like twin home style, so it's sort of townhome-esque, but it's typically just 2 units connected with a yard in between, so each unit kind of has its own little fenced yard. And houses here, at least twin homes, start in the mid 4s, and they're all quite new and have access to Cherry Creek schools. Huh? All right, let's go to the next one. Right now we are actually the furthest east we will be at all in this video, and literally about as far east as the Denver Aurora Metro gets. We're in the Traditions neighborhood, which is actually east of Buckley Air Force Base and just kind of to the south of Denver International Airport. And right now I'm at Traditions Neighborhood Park. It's actually a really cool park. There's a skate park, basketball court, playground, and then just sort of like walking trails, biking trails, etc. It's not that large of a neighborhood. If you look on the map, it's just kind of a square. It's kind of almost looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. Between here and sort of the rest of Aurora, like maybe Buckley, there's sort of, you know, more like rural feeling stuff, which is kind of cool, but there is sort of a rural feel there, right, between the two. And yeah, this definitely feels like you're sort of in, you know, the path of progress, and you're sort of getting in real early on anything being developed out here, because there's really nothing else. There's basically the closest grocery store is going to be about 10 minutes, and the closest like King Super is maybe 15 minutes from here. So you're definitely a bit removed from those conveniences, but you're also extremely close to Buckley if you have anything there. And I think probably the most enticing part about it for a lot of folks is that you can get a home built in the last, you know, 3-4 years. So a pretty new home for sub 500,000, which basically there's not a whole lot of other places in Colorado, at least in the Denver metro, that you can do that. So, you know, I think the gamble of getting in early, being a little bit far away, and just knowing like, well, I'm not gonna be able to have really slick access to amenities and errands and stuff right now, but it will come, and for now, that's fine with me. For now, I want, you know, a new home with, you know, modern fixtures and, you know, a quiet street. This also, there's something nice about this where it's so removed from everything that it's just peaceful. I feel like if I had kids, I'd let them play in the street or whatever, the park, right? I wouldn't have to feel like I had to keep such an eye on them as maybe in the city, you know? And then you may see some planes sort of in the back. The flight path or the landing path is sort of from the south to the north over here. But I can hardly hear them. They're faint in the distance, and it would hardly be a factor as far as I'm concerned. You can see them, but they're quiet. They're hardly intrusive at all. But all right, that's the Traditions neighborhood. Got a couple more left, let's go. My friends, next neighborhood up on the best neighborhoods in Aurora is Conservatory at the Plains. And right now I'm at the sort of community center. They have a sort of a community pool, little playground here, a little bit of a pavilion. I think that's what that's called. Pagoda? No, pavilion. That seems more right. And then right across here, Switchgrass Park, which has some pretty great views kind of the further you go that way, albeit slightly obstructed by power lines right over yonder. You know, it's all good. There's actually a hawk flying up there. That's kind of cool. But Conservatory at the Plains is a very, very nice neighborhood, relatively accessible in terms of price. It's very, very close to Buckley Air Force Base. The home styles are like not like super, super high end, not like country club kind of level, but nice, like nicely appointed, good sizes, and for the most part built between 2005, 2015, in that ballpark. Kind of the further east you go, the more recent the build is, the closer to actually where I am right now, which is further west, obviously. A little bit more older they get, 2005, etc. But sort of the cheapest end of listings is maybe around 550,000 in the Conservatory, and then kind of the high end currently on the market is maybe around 800. But yeah, you can get in on the like mid 500s to a very nice neighborhood, which is also very, very close to Buckley Air Force Base. Basically, I don't know, 5 minutes or so from Buckley. So pretty cool. All right, let's move on to the next one. How's it going, friends? Right now I'm in Sterling Hills, and this is specifically Sterling Hills West Park that I am at right now. And this Sterling Hills is a neighborhood extremely close to Buckley Air Force Base. I feel like I don't really need these right now. It's a little bit cloudy. And the homes here were built pretty much, you know, in the last 20 or so years. So you're gonna see a combination of homes that, you know, are just starting to feel, maybe not just, but are starting to feel a little bit dated, right? As far as sort of stylistic choices. That 20-year lifespan is real for sure. But these homes are still nice sized. You're gonna get, you know, a lot of square footage, good sized yards, obviously great sort of park space like this. You have pretty good access to shopping, and again, you're right next to Buckley Air Force Base. I think it's literally maybe as the crow flies, I don't know, 2,000 feet that way. super close. And here in the Sterling Hills neighborhood, prices are going to start in like kind of the low fives as far as listings go. So I would expect to pay kind of in the upper fives to get into this neighborhood. And there's sort of a variety of housing styles. Like some of these over here have more of the like walkout basement, so they seem much larger, but most of these over here are going to be more of the lookout basement kind of situation. So, you know, still similar square footage, but yeah, it's going to vary from probably 2,500 on the low end here to maybe 4,000 on the high end. I'm seeing a pretty good mix of 3-car garages and 2 cars, and then also a good amount of these houses have solar as well, and they also have sort of like tiled roofing, and then they also seem to have a steel tiled roof, which looks pretty sharp, if I do say so myself. And then I also want to give sort of an honorable mention to Seven Hills, which is just to the south of Sterling Hills. To me, Seven Hills is sort of the older, more affordable sibling to Sterling Hills. And home prices there are going to start in the low 4s for single family homes. So definitely a lot more affordable, but you'll see that homes aren't quite as well taken care of and a little more dated, and you know, yards are maybe slightly messier in Seven Hills than in the likes of Sterling Hills. So that's kind of why they make the list. Affordability, close to Buckley, and a lot of house for your money. Friends, right now I'm in a little bit of an older neighborhood, still sort of in the southeast Aurora part of Aurora. You're going to see homes here built more in the sort of early 2000s, maybe 2000, 2005, that kind of range. And you can see right down here, right, the grade starts to go down and there's a little bit of a gulch, and that is for Piney Creek. There's paths all throughout here. You'll see folks on golf carts driving around here, and also just walking, biking, rollerblading, etc., scootering, I suppose. And like I said, these homes are going to be a little bit older, so they're a little bit cheaper. And I'm actually standing on the eastern side of the creek, and these homes tend to be a little bit more expensive, a little bit bigger. They're also a little bit higher up, so the view's a little more panoramic, whereas down here is more heritage Eagle Bend neighborhoods. You're going to get more modest homes, but there are single family homes currently on the market listed around $450,000. Not massive, but they are nice and sizable enough in total square footage, but again, built kind of early 2000s, so they're starting to look a little more dated on the inside unless they've been renovated. But to get a home, you know, built in the early 2000s, $450,000 in this very nice neighborhood, you're sort of bumping shoulders with a lot of your neighbors with some very expensive neighborhoods. And I don't know if you could see it, but maybe you can. Kind of right back here, there's an American flag and a little bit of a commercial space. Right over there, there's a super Target, among other things. Conveniences literally like 3-4 minutes away from where I'm standing right now. So definitely on the more budgeted end of things, you might want to consider Heritage Eagle Bend. Also, there are some sort of twin homes actually. So right down here, we got some twin homes. So again, a sort of budget friendly, you're likely going to have an HOA where you're not taking care of the lawn, etc. What a nice spot. All right, let's go check out some others. right, my friends, last stop in the best neighborhoods of Aurora video. I'm sure there are others, by the way, that we missed, and some were just so small that it didn't seem worth talking about. But that doesn't mean they're not potentially good places to live. I'd love to hear below your thoughts on what are some areas that we missed. And you know, it's helpful to other people too, if they're reading this, potentially to hear your opinion. Hey, blank neighborhood is a great spot as well. But right now, we're in the Dam East, and there's also the Dam West, DAM. And the Dam East and West are all about affordability combined with access to Cherry Creek schools. They're technically within the Cherry Creek School District. It is obviously a very desirable school district, and the homes here, single family homes, start in the mid to low 4s. So that sort of combination makes this area very, very desirable to certain people who, you know, budget is not super high, but they want access to some of the best schools in all of Colorado. And you'll find older homes here, maybe 80s, maybe 70s at the very oldest in some of them, 70s, 80s, 90s. And, you know, some of them could use a little bit of love. Some of them beautifully renovated and very well taken care of. You'll also find condos here, townhomes. Condos, I think the cheapest one is around $200,000. It's small, it's like a 1-bedroom, so not necessarily for somebody who cares about schools, because there's only one bedroom, so probably not, right? But nonetheless, condos, townhomes, single family homes kind of mixed in throughout this neighborhood. And yeah, a lot of people, and while it's not massive by any means, it has a lot to offer. And if you are interested in any of these areas we talked about today, or any of the other spots here in Denver, in the Front Range, Colorado in general, we'd love to be the ones who help you find the right home in the right neighborhood for the right price. It's what we do, and it's what we do better than anybody else. So you can go to our website, welcometodenver.co. We have a contact form there that you can fill out in 30 seconds, or you can shoot us an email directly to info@welcometodenver.co. They lead to the same inbox, so completely up to you. And we just ask that you do, and we look forward to meeting you, look forward to showing you around, and ultimately getting you here in a home in Denver. And I would just like to say thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. We looked at 14 neighborhoods, maybe 2 honorable mentions or something like that, but that's a ton to choose from, and there's a lot going on there. So I realize that maybe it's a lot to, you know, take in, but hopefully you can, you know, watch the video, look at these spots on the maps, and ultimately have an idea of what Aurora has to offer. I'm also going to do a whole separate video on pros and cons of living in Aurora, and yeah, it's so big that it feels worthy of that. Maybe I'll do a cost of living. Would you be interested in a cost of living in Aurora? Let me know. I'd be curious to know if anybody wants that, and I will pull it off. But all right, y'all, thank you. If you're new here, if you've not done so yet, subscribe to the channel and click the bell to get notified so you can see every time we put out these absolutely top-notch videos. And if you wouldn't mind, give the video a thumbs up and say anything at all in the comments. I'd appreciate it. This video took a long time, a very long time, maybe the longest video I've ever shot. All right, thanks y'all. See you soon. Bye-bye.